Beneath the turquoise waters of the Pacific lies a paradise, with a radioactive past. This is Bikini Atoll, a remote coral reef in the Marshall Islands that witnessed one of the most devastating experiments in human history. Once home to a peaceful Polynesian community, Bikini Atoll was a tropical sanctuary. Crystal clear waters, towering coconut palms, and a population that lived in balance with nature. But in 1946, that balance was broken. The United States chose this remote atoll as ground zero for nuclear testing. The reason? Its isolation and its expendability. The 167 islanders were told they would be temporarily relocated for the good of mankind. They left their homes, their traditions, and their ancestral land, believing they would return. But that return never came. Over the next 12 years, 23 nuclear devices were detonated on and around Bikini. The first series, known as Operation Crossroads, targeted naval ships to study atomic bomb effects. Over 90 vessels, including battleships, submarines, and aircraft carriers, were anchored in the lagoon. But the real horror came later, with the detonation of Castle Bravo. On March 1, 1954, the U.S. tested its most powerful hydrogen bomb, Castle Bravo. It was supposed to be a 6-megaton explosion, but a design error caused it to yield 15 megatons, making it 1,000 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. The explosion vaporized entire islands, carved a crater over a mile wide, and sent radioactive fallout across the Pacific, poisoning waters, skies, and distant lands. Even U.S. personnel were exposed. Entire populations on neighboring atolls suffered from radiation sickness, birth defects, and contamination. Bikini Atoll became uninhabitable. The radiation didn't just vanish, it seeped into everything. The soil absorbed cesium-137, a radioactive isotope that mimics potassium, making it especially dangerous because plants absorb it easily. That means coconuts, breadfruit, and other local crops became toxic. Even rainfall collected radioactive particles. Coconut crabs, a local delicacy, were found to contain such high levels of radiation that eating them posed serious health risks. In the 1970s, the U.S. attempted to resettle the Bikinians on their homeland. Homes were rebuilt, families returned. But within a few years, residents began to experience serious health problems. Testing revealed radiation levels in food and the environment that were still dangerously high. In 1978, the U.S. evacuated the island again. One official called it one of the most tragic mistakes in the handling of the nuclear legacy. The U.S. government spent over $110 million on decontamination, removing topsoil, planting radiation-absorbing crops, and monitoring wildlife. But it wasn't enough. As of today, long-term habitation is still considered unsafe without extensive remediation. Yet, despite all odds, nature is reclaiming the Bikini Atoll. 70 years later, coral reefs are rebounding. Vibrant marine ecosystems now flourish in the crater left by Castle Bravo. Sharks, fish, and sea life have returned in abundance. The sunken warships, ghostly relics of the atomic era, have become artificial reefs, drawing scientists and divers from around the world. Ironically, Bikini Atoll's revival is largely thanks to the very thing that once doomed it: human absence. After decades of being deemed too dangerous to inhabit, the atoll was left untouched. No fishing, no development, no interference. In that silence, nature began to heal. Coral reefs regenerated, marine life flourished, and sharks reclaimed the waters. Bikini became an accidental sanctuary, a haunting reminder that sometimes the most powerful act of preservation is simply leaving nature alone. So, if nature can heal when left alone in the wake of such devastation, imagine what could happen if we gave it space to thrive in all the affected or exploited parts of the world. What opinion do you have?